Hello. Hello, hello. I am testing. And also, let me turn my music down. Okay. Hey, welcome back. I am large now. Ta-da! Hello, I'm Ren Farnell, tech designer at UX is Fine, and last week we did, or a couple of days ago, we did a beginning stream on creating a MGS Soliton Radar, which is sort of a outline post-process of the map with some graphic elements for like blinking enemy view cones and some enemy positions. I want to add some extra stuff to that. I want to do some polish on it. And so let's jump into the scene. Here I am. Hello. Let's put a 2-hour timer on here. Hopefully. 1 hour 54 is good. Okay, so let's show where we got to last time. So we had this character. We can move the camera freely. I want to fix that. So let's get a to-do list going actually. So locked camera. I know in Metal Gear Solid it actually changes a bunch. For our radar render, we have just these outlines that move around, and we have these view cones. Firstly, those view cones need to be faded towards the edge. So we need that view cone fade. Also in the reference material, if I jump over to a reference quickly, you can see here how it's like on and then everything is off, like in a panel. That includes the player and the enemy markers. And if we look at this GIF that I took just a second ago, you can see the blink. And then the cones actually change color when an enemy has been sighted. So let's write that down. The blinking glare. So there's that like intermittent blink. We've also got a different version in our demo for alert state, which is from the more recent games. But I actually prefer the sort of original Metal Gear Solid 1 like full UI alert state here. So I want to make something a little bit closer to that, and I might import some fonts for this as well. So we've also got I really like this game over, but we're not doing that. I just took a GIF because I might make that one day. And then we got this locked camera, which is a little bit further up. What else have we got here? There's some depth. You can see some depth in here between different areas. So you can see here there's like a lower area of the play space that has slightly different coloration. I would like to do something with that, so depth shading of some kind. And I actually have some references for this from previous projects, so that will speed us up a little bit. Another thing is and this isn't something I need to actually write down, but you can see that there's a nice black border around this. Oh, there is one more thing at the end of this GIF as well. The return to normal animation. So we've also got the countdown timer. We should do that. We've also got the caution state. So we should probably think about that, or the evasion state, I guess it's called. But you can see at the end of the evasion state is actually a nice little wipe where everything redraws, which I really like that. And so we could temporarily enable a retainer box to produce that animation. So we could look at that. So there's the return to normal anim, that's kind of at the end. Countdown timer, blinking layer, view cone edit, yeah, locked camera. Okay, so let's just get started. So this is what we have, and we want to go towards the other, the iteration. So yeah, all of these boxes that we have are just like plain. There's no shading. There's no shading on them, which is fine in some regards. But another thing is that render is actually non-uniform. So let's find out if we can make a non-uniform representation. So if I actually just squeeze this, what happens? You just get a completely squeezed render, which is not what we want. Let's go to our widget here and see if we can wrap this. I guess what you could do is wrap this in a canvas panel in the top right of the screen. This could be 256 units wide, aligned on the X. We don't want any offset in this case. Our radar render, it should render like this. I want to render, say, 200 units or maybe 180 units, but I want my interior to stay at the scale that it should be within that panel. So we could try wrapping this again with a size box. It seems a bit strange that I'd have to do this. Now the canvas panel is just sizing to the pair in there. Maybe we could replace this with, I suppose you have to wrap it. Just gonna double check my stream qualities. So we are speaking, let me know if the music is too loud, and I will edit that music. So for this radar render here, yeah, the size box isn't working. Let's wrap it with a scale box and then just replace this size box with the child scale box here. Let's scale it to the X. So now we have this render, and then I think we can align this. So let's keep it center aligned. And so hopefully now, yeah, we have our original radar, but aligned, you know, just a different scaling. So that's pretty cool. It's a little bit zoomed in, I would say. And so the way that we can play with that in our episode 9 work, in our Soliton Radar, our render camera has an ortho width. We could just set that to 3000 and see how that looks. Now that we're at 3000, we actually need to make this a variable, I think. So set ortho width, we'll go 3000 in here. Reason for this is that our actual radar is producing those dots and moving them around the canvas in the update based on that distance, but we're doing that distance manually somewhere in here. Like we're not doing that very smart yet. Here to 750. So what we can do is, we don't actually have a reference in here to our radar camera, so let's just get a simple reference to that. You could store this differently, like you could store this on the HUD and get it a little bit easier. In fact, let's maybe go do that. So, well, somewhere has a reference to this because of course it must do. No, well, no, I guess the radar just renders a texture, and that's kind of it. Hey, Sajeru, nice to see you again. Welcome to the stream. We're doing a polish stream today. I was thinking of deleting the original video and just starting from scratch, but we're just going to carry on. Sometimes things take a while, longer than they need to. The reason the first stream I wasn't really happy with it is I tried again to use AI to come up with a HLSL to mitigate the cost and time of doing the node logic for the kernel-based edge detection, the Sobel edge detection stuff. And so I spent some time with GPT for like an hour and didn't get it working, which was just wasted, and then I just did it with nodes anyway. But it's good to see the mistakes we make, I think. It's fine. We are not defined by our mistakes, and only by our perseverance, I will say. So we're persevering today. We're going to do some iterations. We're doing the locked camera in a second. I'm doing a bunch of extra stuff quickly, like side gigs, I could say. So let's have a look here. yeah, nothing has a reference to the radar, so our radar widget is going to get a reference to the radar. That's fine. Get all actors of class. I'll just call this radar. It's like a radar camera or something I called it. What did I call it? BP Soliton. Get that. Promote that to a variable. Radar cam. The reason I need that variable is because it holds the orthographic width of the scene render that we're doing. So in our update markers now, we can get our radar cam. We can get the ortho width, divide that by 2. And if you watched the last episode, what we were doing here is we're just remapping the location of a marker, which is on our enemies, into the widget space. And so here we're just getting the distance to the actor and the direction. And then we're just multiplying it around to set its position on our canvas. Let's move some of these things around to clean it up. Could add a bunch of comments in here now, but do it in post. Compile this. So let's make sure that that's actually working. Okay, cool. So now we have like configurable ortho width. I'll say that the enemy marker is a little bit large, so let's shrink that down a little bit. Just go 40 by 40. I want to do the view cone fade quickly as well. So let's go here, create a material. This will also allow us to set it up for the different colored view cones as well. So we have like the blue cone, the red cone. Do you always have a camera on top of the player to render the level? Yeah, I'll show you in a sec how that works. M_view cone. Let's just give it a color. And we'll toggle this depending on the state. We'll do that through Blueprint. This is going to be a UI material that's translucent with a multiply on the texture UVs. We're just going to break this out. And I think we're using the G channel. So let's just multiply this immediately like so. We've also got our texture for our view cone. We could do this by math actually, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to use a texture. Okay, so we've got this. For our opacity, we want to multiply this here and then just have our color. So immediately we've got that nice view fade. For our default color, let's go take a look at our reference. So it's blue. It's a nice blue. Let's just go with that. And then this is going to change later as well. Let's have a look at that. I didn't apply the material to the actual enemy, so let's go do that. And then here, get rid of that color. In fact, rather than changing the color on here, let's just have this be white. And we'll actually control the color through here. Not through the tint though, through the color and opacity. That way we can just do it straight in Blueprint. Should be fine. Okay, so we've got these slightly smaller view cones, which is a little bit nicer. It's not wide enough. View cone isn't actually wide enough. So let's go with 50 by 60. This is why doing this triangle by math would actually be a little bit nicer. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So you are asking, hey Guillermo, welcome. I hope we learned some cool things today in this stream. We're just cracking on making a Metal Gear Solid Radar. So one of the questions that Sajeru had was, do you always have a camera on top of the player to render the level in the radar? So the way that works is there is a blueprint somewhere in my world. It's over here. Let's go look at what this blueprint is. It's a scene capture component. It's set to orthographic, which means it doesn't have any of that perspective shifting. In fact, if we set this to perspective quickly, you can see how that looks. You can actually see the perspective of the level, right? Which is cool for like its own game, I guess. That would be pretty cool. But we're going orthographic for this one. We've got an orthographic width, which just determines how wide that lens is. Oh yeah, wicked man. Delirian's like, I actually have to do this. So that's cool. Let's have a look at the rest of this. So we're rendering to a render texture. So we have a render texture that's quite small, 256 by 256, no bigger than we need it on the UI. We don't want to render more pixels than we need to render. It can be expensive. We're capturing every frame because there are other elements that move. So we do that. We also capture on movement, I guess doesn't really matter. It's capturing both ways in that case. And it's putting the final color into the LDR. Another thing on here, on this camera in particular, is a post-process material. So we've got this post-process material, and I'll show you quickly what that does by actually applying it to the entire level. Oh. So let's just make it unbound. We'll smack that material into here. So this is all that material is doing. It's just creating a outline for us. And so let's take a look at that material. It is a Boolean for custom depth, which we are using custom depth, which means we only render these cubes, which means if you have a lot of geometry like pipes and vents and just like little bits that you don't actually want to render, just don't put them on the custom depth channel. And that's done through some tick boxes in the item. So render custom depth on this asset, that's going to allow it to render to this material or this post-process. We've got this blur sample offsets, which is something that Unreal gives us. We have this what should really be a parameter, which is line thickness essentially. It's just like how far out do we want to go in each direction, and then we're sampling the scene depth at all those locations, and then this math here determines if the pixel that's been shifted is 0 or 1, or then it gives us this mask essentially. And then I do have this scene depth that I'm multiplying it by, which essentially we're probably going to replace this, and in fact it comes with no UVs, which is a bit strange, so we might replace whatever this is doing. And that just goes into our emissive color. And so what we see on our render texture, we see nothing right now apparently. What we should see in our render texture is some information in the R channel, but for some reason it's not rendering on there today. But hey, it would be there. In fact, if I open it up and grab the camera to get rid of this world settings, okay, I've lost my mouse. There we go. Let's go. Well, let's go to the post-process for a second. Turn it off. If I hit play now, it's still on. So let's go to that post-process. I'm just going to leave it in the level for now, because it's good to show other people in the future. I hit play now. Yeah. So now we're good. What else did I want to show quickly? So that camera, where's that camera gone? Here it is. We have this render. Lift it out of the floor. Ah, there you go. So you see it now. This is the actual output. And one of the things that we're going to do today is add a fade to this in the G channel based on the scene depth. And what that'll allow us to do is color the actual body of all of these in a different shade based on its depth and some multiplication. So we'll do that in a bit. Right now, yeah, we've got our outline shader just on our view cone, so let's tick that off. I do need to do like view cone alert state. That's also a ticket, I suppose. We could actually do that. We should maybe do that sooner rather than later. Okay, so we've got our locked cam as well. The render texture is just a black PNG. No, yeah. So this is what it actually outputs. It takes the material I just showed, where it offsets all the pixels and it creates that outline. It's a typical outline post-process. If you want to get one really quickly for yourself, just jump over to blueprintue.com. This is just like a quick hacky way of getting something started, and just type in outline post-process or outline material. both work. You can see here how I've jumped into a few of these to grab some quick stuff. So super cool resource, blueprintue.com. That's how I got like most of the material for that solid. We don't really need this. This was an old thing. And so our BP Soliton, it has that material I just showed there, and it renders to that texture target which we were looking at. And so from there, to get it onto our UI, we have a UI material that reads that texture and then does stuff with it. So it's just lerping the R channel between different colors, and soon it will be lerping the G channel to apply some distance coloration. And then I'm doing some math here to strengthen the outlines for the opacity, because I wanted the opacity of the lines to be solid, but the opacity of the background to be transparent. So it's hard to tell, but basically if you don't do that, the outlines, like you can fade the whole thing, but then the outlines aren't visible. So that's the material that we're actually rendering directly to the UI. Then we've got our enemy, which is just a red dot with this. In fact, I think if we go look at our reference and we want to stick to our reference, that red dot is a lot smaller. So let's just go like 4x4. And maybe that color is a little bit less saturated as well. So we'll just go something like this. That's pretty cool. We also have in our radar, we have this dot which represents us. Let's name some of these. Let's just say player. We'll say radar. So let's go to player. Let's just make this white and also make this 4x4. It's just a little dot in the middle. So that's looking pretty cool. Let's get our locked camera sorted. I think that would be pretty cool. So we should have in our core a character who has a camera boom, who uses the player control rotation. We're going to turn that off. And so that'll allow us to just set this. It's rotating with player movement, so we don't want to inherit yaw. And so now we have a more Metal Gear Solid-like camera. And that's like the reason for the map in this game, is because obviously you can't look to the side to see where the enemies are, so you sort of wait here, wait for that enemy to move, and then maybe like sneak around him. But I mean, it's a bad example, but okay, so we got like a little bit more of a Metal Gear thing going on, and we also set this up in the last session, so a bad radar state. Okay, so the next thing on our list is the lock camera. We just did that. We've got our view cone alert state, so let's set that up. One thing about our view cone alert state, I did it really hackily, really quickly in the last session. I just did this overlap box on our enemy. And I just said, like, when you overlap it, the alert state is alerted. Let's clean that up. Let's get rid of this. In fact, we could probably do that. Yeah, let's clean all of that out of the level blueprint. Don't ever put code in your level blueprint unless you're doing like a story-driven level-based game where you don't want like reusable blueprints. Just like open this door. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of using the level blueprint. I actually heard they were going to remove it at one point, but it's good that it's there. I used to have that as my text tone. Don't know if anyone else has ever tried that one as a text ringtone. It's good. Okay, so for the view cone alert state, I actually want to create a new blueprint actor component. So BP underscore. We'll call it like alert state. I want an enum blueprint. Blueprint enumeration. We'll do E underscore alert state. We'll spell it properly as well. Let's create a new folder for alert state. Put these in here. Don't think I need this brush anymore. Yeah, I'm not using it, so we'll just get rid of that. Let's create a new folder, audio. Just going to clean a few things up here. Put that in there. Make a folder for gameplay. Just put the enemy in there. We've got a UI folder for the radar marker. Cool, everything's cleaned up. We've cleaned that up. Don't need to do anything on here. We'll come back to that. This we're about to change, so we'll keep it open. Soliton Radar, we don't, nothing to care about there. We'll keep our radar open. I have broken this. I have broken this, like, because this is top aligned. Because this isn't top aligned. We actually have a bit of an issue with. In the parent radar, we have a state called alert state, which draws at the top. And because that's cut and we don't know by how much, our actual, it just appears up here and it's hardly visible. In fact, we can test it quickly by setting this to 1 and then compiling it. And you can see here how it's actually cut off the top. So we're going to have to update how that works. And so what we'll do is we'll actually put our widget switcher inside. No, it needs to be in our radar, I guess. I'm probably going to move this. Yeah, I'm going to move this scale box logic. I'm going to move the scale box logic. That's what I'm going to do. Don't need this canvas panel. Just need this scale box. Which is now stopped. Okay, maybe we do need the canvas panel. We'll is this a canvas panel over the whole UI? No, it's not. Yeah, we might come back to that anyway. So for the alert state, yeah, the reason I was creating an alert state component, let's get back to that. We're going to have the variable for, we'll call it current state. Alert state. Nope. The enum for alert state. It currently has no states, so let's add 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got normal. We've got alert. We've got evasion. And if I remember correctly, there's a caution state. So what happens is, as soon as you get spotted, you go into alert. So that's like upon spotted. Then evasion is time until caution state is entered. And at this point, enemies are like running around the scene looking for you. And then caution state is time until returning to normal state. More enemies basically patrolling. And then here you've got time until caution state, which is like actively running around, like looking for you. Something like that. Something like that. Either way, we're going to have a couple of states. We'll probably won't use the caution one for this. But so let's go in here. It starts in normal mode. So that's good. And then we'll obviously have a function for set alert state, which will update our current state, which we don't want to do if we're attempting, for any reason, from any other class, if we're attempting to change this to something that it already is, we're not going to run the following logic. But if it is different to what we are, call this new state. If the new state is not equal to the current state, then we'll run this, which allows us to run a dispatcher, alert state changed. All that. We may as well output the alert state. Put that in there. Give it a name. Oh, refresh it. There we go. So now what we can do with this alert state is we can set it from anywhere we want, and we can listen to it from anywhere we want. That's super simple, little class, doesn't do anything else. It's going to live on our game state, which means we need a game state. So let's go to our core, to our game mode. Let's add a game state. Add it to episode 9, core, GS09. The reason I'm putting this on the game state is because if this was multiplayer, this is where the state of your game gets held. And so you could replicate that value. You could do an on-rep. In fact, I'll show you it. It's just something that I like doing. So in the alert state here, if we were to make this a replicated component and we would turn off its tick, probably enough, and we would set this variable to onRepNotify, which would trigger this, which we would then call like so. So now anytime a client joins late, or any client on the server, because the game state is always relevant to every player when they're joining the game, they'll be able to listen to this from the by getting game state. It's really easy to get this, right? It's like get game state, get comp by class, get the alert state. Ooh, alert state. And so from here you can be like bind alert state changed, and then you can create an event. We're going to cut that code. We're going to cut that code there. Game state get component by class alert state bind. We're going to put that into our radar. So let's go to our event graph here, on construct, do some logic here, bind to this event. I'm going to create an event for this, create a matching event, on alert state changed. And so this will be what controls our alert state now. We actually got something that we set up in the last episode, but let's we'll clean that up in a moment. For the view cones, what we can do is when this alert state changes, we can get all these, I think these are radar markers. Let's have a look at what that means. We've got widget underscore enemy, radar marker. Okay, cool. So what we can do is we can get all the values of this key map, which is all of our enemy markers, and we can just get one of them, and then we'll have a new function in here for setting their alert state. So set alert state. In fact, the problem with this is that the particular enemy would have a red cone to display which one it was. So we're not actually going to do that to every one of them. But let's just do inputs, alerted, and then based on that we'll change the color of the cone, because that was like one of the things that we wanted to do, right? So we'll set color. We set color and opacity. We'll do a select node based on this, so we can just run straight in. If he is alerted, let's just draw red. If he's not alerted, let's go back to our blue. Don't know if that's the right blue, but you could variable it up if you wanted. Okay, so we've got image dot and image cone. Compile that. We're going to work on the enemy in a second and actually move. We added some trigger volumes to the level, and we triggered just as a quick test. We just triggered the state for alert based on you standing in here, and then we actually attached this box to this cone. So what we're going to do is, ideally, cut this, open the enemy, paste it. Didn't work. Okay, so we'll just add a box collision to this guy. I should really set up an actual enemy, like a moving AI entity. But we're just going to do cheap and cheerful for a moment. Let's go 45 units on there. That'll do. And so for this is just like a really cheap way of doing this. Let's go on component begin overlap. Let's make sure that our UI is set to custom. Turn everything off. We only want to overlap pawns. And so from here we can set the alert state of our AI. So let's do I guess our marker component here is our route to seeing the state through the widget hierarchy, because we're getting the marker components, and so from that we can get the owner, cast it to enemy. Let's do a dispatch on here. Ooh, what I could do, what could be cool, is instead of storing this on here and binding through that process, is on our alert state we'll have a variable for Yeah, we'll have a variable for alerted enemy. So when the alert state changes, we set the alert state here. This should also update. This is bad now, by the way. You now want to replicate this as a struct instead of on-repping this. I'm going to get rid of this rep notify so that we're not worrying about the concepts of replication right now. But because we've now got two variables, we don't want to on-rep those independently because there's a chance that one will arrive sooner than the other. So we would now actually turn this into a struct of data that's like alert data, and then you would do some stuff based on that. What we're going to do is, because we're not caring about replication right now, we're going to crash the engine, and then we're going to reopen it, because that's the Unreal way. So for the alert state, we've got an alert component. It knows what the state is and what the last enemy was, and from there we're going to inform our UI. So let's go to our BP alert state here. Let's get rid of our onRep. Let's get rid of the replication on here. Let's go to our set for our alert state. Add a new property. Wow, it really doesn't like me doing that. I'm gonna have to remake that delegate. I'm gonna have to remake that delegate. We'll just call it state changed. Add a variable, state, alert state, new state, add a new variable, enemy, BP, enemy. Call that, get rid of this onRep, get rid of this, compile, go to our alert state, get rid of that. We'll just do state changed, because apparently we're experiencing issues with that. Let's get our alerted enemy here. It could be done a different way. You could store this as like alerted entity because it might be a camera. And maybe for the interest of coming back to this episode, we should really do that. So we'll actually just have this as an actor. Call this alerted entity. And in here, we'll just call this entity. Or a causer, I guess you could call it. Also makes sense. And it needs to not be an enemy type, it needs to be an actor. Oh, refresh. So that gets around the crash, because now we're just going to delete that. Okay. So for our enemy, we were iterating on our enemy. We can get rid of our view cones in our level now, or our temporary view cones that we were doing for a quick prototype. Go into our cone enemy dude. Got this, get game state, get comp class, alert state. And what we can do is set the alert state to alerted, and the alerted enemy is self, or the alerted, I didn't change the name of that. Do causer. Alert causer, do that. Okay. So now we'll get an alert state that has a context of where it came from. The cool thing about that is, close all this down, it's all good. In our UI, where we're drawing all of these enemies, just got our radar here, set this back to 0. We have our alert state changed, create an event, that doesn't exist anymore, bind to state changed. We'll do custom event on alert state changed. That didn't work, I think we already have that. Okay, so that's that setup. got this nice on alert state change. We've got this enemy. They've got this causer here. So what we can do is we can go and find get comp class. We're drawing all the markers, right? So we've got this radar marker that's on our causer. So what we can do is go find that element, which is an enemy, set state to alerted. So that will set the enemy to red. Or not, possibly. Let's just say if this is equal to alert, do this. Also, we want to ask if this is valid, because it might be the case when we return back to normal, there's not going to be a causer. What we will do is promote this to a variable last alerted enemy. In fact, it won't be important. It won't be important to store any variables. I try not to store variables when I don't need to. It just adds to the memory. When this enemy goes into the alert state, you're going to see that it's red for like a second, and then it's going to change the state of the radar to something where you can't see the radar anymore, which means you can't see the cones. When all of that ends, everyone should be back to blue cones, or yellow cones possibly. But what that basically means for me for now is, I guess if I am alerted, I'm just going to set a timer event for like 3 seconds. We'll do create an event. We'll just create a matching event, cut that into our event graph, return to normal, I suppose. And so we'll set the alert state to false here. Oop. I just moved something that I didn't want to move. What have I done? Can I just reset view? Can I just reset the view, please? Blueprint, go here, find results, sure, event graph, above, set alert state, event graph details, bottom of that. Just move this down and over, cool, okay. Just messed up my UI. Okay, so we have this little return, which is all good. So now, theoretically, should be able to... Oh, my controls are backwards now. That's not great. Oh no, now they're good again. Ish. I need to... I know what's going on. I need to do something with my character because I can't move him properly. The mouse is changing. Yeah, we've got this look input, which we just don't want. There we go. When I was moving my mouse, I was actually losing control of my character. So we stand here, we get this red alert state, cool. And then after a few seconds, it goes back to normal. What we want to do is, obviously when the alert state changes, we want to play a quick sound. So what we can do is switch here and do some generic kind of events here. So play sound 2D. Again, if this was replicated, you'd do this all in the on rep, I suppose. Well, maybe not. You might multicast this because you don't want to join late and then just hear the spam of everything all at once. Anyway, so we've got this alert sound. Let's just double check that that's good. Okay. Now, that's our view cone alert state sorted. We've got our blinking layer. Let's actually just get that sorted, and we'll keep going through. We should probably reorganize some of this. So let's get our evasion state done first with our countdown timer. Let's do the countdown timer for the alert state. Let's do alert state, evasion state. Yeah, cool. Return to normal anim. Sure, we'll do that before we do the blinking layer, and then we'll add the depth shading at the end. So let's do the alert state on the actual radar first. So here, when the alert state changes, if there was a causer, we know that it's the alert state. So what we can do from here is we can switch to our other state, which is this state here, which we're actually going to change the design of. We're going to be a little bit closer to this design here. So firstly, let's wrap our entire object with, I want to wrap it with a border. Hey Answerman, or Ash, yes. Welcome back, dude. No worries. Obviously these are all VODed, so you're welcome to come back and leave comments and stuff, ask questions if you have them, asynchronously, and I'm happy to do, once I get enough questions, and I'll do a stream where I just answer stream questions that came through in the comments or the chat, and then so I can always review those another time as well. But I hope your exams are going well, dude. We're going to wrap this with a border. It's going to be a border. It's going to be black. We're going to have the interior offset by 2 pixels. And we're going to jump into Photoshop and just create a new, just like 8x8, I think is big enough. What we can do with this 8x8, if we zoom right in, is we can just say, give me 1, 2 pixels. In fact, that would mean I need to do even less. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you put this in the middle. Then just delete this. Now we've got this 2 pixel shape, which we will then export as a PNG, which is 2 pixels. We could also do this through a shader, but we're not going to do that. Let's open up our, we don't actually have an art folder, so let's just do art, import our streaming t_2 pixels. Where did I put it? There it is. Just this teeny, it's this teeny little 2 pixel thing. We'll apply that to our border. And we'll set this to 0.5. So you can see now at 1:1 scale we have this like black border around our radar, which again is in the space of, is in the wrong space basically. We'll replace that. Let's go to our, which is 0.9 here, and wrap this scale box with a border. In fact, we could paste this canvas, delete this, place this in here, delete this, and now we've already got 1, top right, 0, 256 by, I think we said 180. So that, we now edit this to 2 pixels, that should be our black border. Cool, so that looks a little bit neater. It's already looking better, to be honest, so I like that. Black border. Always recognize your wins, even if it's a small win. What are your studies in, by the way, Ash? It's, I'm guessing UI UX. Okay, so we did that. I could put the alert state here. It would help to some degree. What's happening is we're rendering this in such a way we're not actually able to represent this in a great way. What I want to do is copy this, place this with the child, place this with the child, replace this with the child. Now we have this again. I'm going to go and edit this radar. So let's just quickly wrap this with an overlay box, which gives us a space to put our border, and then I'm going to put all of this in here. And this with the canvas panel. Now I can determine the size through here. Cool. So this is this. We want this to be centered. We don't want a widget switcher at this layer. So we'll move this widget switcher to our canvas for a second. This is the size box for our radar. Scale box for that, which is fine. We've got this border which represents everything, so we'll drop this in here and we'll drop this in our border. And then we'll pop our alert state and say scale box radar. This widget is only 2 units derived, and they're padded, and then that's 2 padded. Cool. Okay. So now we're at a state. What I've just done is I've just rearranged all the hierarchy of the panels in order to make it so that I have a controllable size for our vertical radar, which max is 256. We're going to go 180, where the border is actually represented on this widget now, so that we have a widget switcher that no longer cuts the top of this off. And then in our main UI, we just draw the element. We don't have a canvas panel in our main UI that has a scale box that controls how it appears. All of the appearance controls are inside the componentized, if you like, the independent widget, which is much nicer, much neater, much easier to iterate on. Okay, and so from here now, I can create the rest of that appearance for the alert state. I have a message. Let's have a look. It was a message about mortality, so just going to ignore the concept while I'm working, because otherwise I'll be sad. Essentially, my kid's going to kindergarten, so it's a change. I'm gonna have a holiday, spend it with him. Last of the 5 years. Let's get back to this. So I'm going to pop this on my other screen so I can basically use it as a reference, as if a UI designer or an artist has given me something, and I'm going to go and say, okay, I'll set up a quick prototype for that. So we've got our border. We'll go full size for this, and we'll have a nice red state that we'll make a little bit darker here. We could just color pick it directly, but we don't really need to. Whoops. We need to at least change the color. That would be helpful. Right, okay, so we've got our cool alert state. We're going to add some material effects to this border here. So this is our border _BG. Make sure we name things as we go. So this is our border 2 pix. It's our 2 pixel border. On our alert state, we need a new font, because I think the font is part of the love there that we have to give to this. So we'll go 1001 free fonts. We want to make sure that we're looking for commercially free assets, and that we're looking for sort of a digital. We could look at retro. We could look at display. We also want to look at more. Submit a font. No, I don't want to do that. Font tag cloud, no. More blocky, geometric, Let's try this. So I'm looking for a pixelized sort of font. So that might be the display. Which I thought would mean UI display, like a digital display, but I guess not. Let's look for the word digital. So we're just going to type alert right here. Alert. Yeah, whatever. Art Deco. Maybe futuristic. Doesn't make any sense. Search for fonts. Digital. Thank you. Are these commercially free? Yeah, cool. I don't want to use anything that will get told off for. Oh, this will be nice, easy font to use. Oh, it costs money though. Oh no, it just says it's free. Download it. Bam. We've got this one. This one's for our timer. Do us there. Oh, that was a cool font. Oh, that's a really nice one. Take that. It's not the right one, but it's a cool font and I like it, so I want. It's not the one that we. Ah, here we go. I mean, it's a little bit different to our reference, but let's just take it. Okay, so that was Libri. So we'll open that up. Let's extract all here. That one, we'll extract all of this. Extract all of this. Okay. So somewhere in here is a font, right? Yeah, this one. Show more options, install for all users. I'm just going to install these to my hard drive as well. This was segment 14. I actually forget what that one is. Right, that's the timer. So what we can do is jump into Unreal quickly. Oh, we need to make a fonts folder, I suppose. We'll do it in our UI folder, and we'll go new fonts, and pop that. Librium, which is not the one. Install for all users. Okay, and then we've got Square Sand. Oh shit, maybe it was the one I was just looking at. I just closed the folder for the one that I do want. Okay, so first off, I want segment 14, and then it's going to ask me if I want to create a font. I'm going to say yes. Save that, go back a folder. I'm going to jump over to the Libri one. I've actually got two here. Liberate this. Everything in this text file is typed from left to right by apostrophe. Who is the same person who made the fonts that prompted you to download this file in the first place, which means that you are obliged to consider him a creative genius, applaud his every move, create a mental image of him, visualize him as your imaginary friend, and mention him in your prayers, and smile while shaking your head at the memory of his name when you are drunk. If you do not comply with the creator's aforementioned requests, you are not allowed to use this font in any way. It is the creator's wish that you go sit on the toilet and ponder the possibilities of life on other planets in exactly 7 minutes. Otherwise, no font for you. Also, no font for you if you sleep less than 5 hours a day. Okay, well, in 7 minutes, I need to go and sit on the toilet and ponder the possibilities of life on other planets for 7 minutes. In exactly 7 minutes. So I can ponder it for like 2 seconds, otherwise I can't use this font. We're going to ignore that because it probably won't hold up in a court of law. And so everything else in there is completely reasonable. Let's just bring that in. That was just the README, by the way. that was the legal README. So we've got the Liberate font. It looks horrible. Did I put an outline on this? Or a shadow? Didn't. Why does it look completely different? Maybe it was Librium that I needed. There we go. Just going to compile this, go out of here, delete that other one, because that one was rubbish. For our use case, it was absolutely awesome otherwise. Here we're going to use the segment font, and so this will actually be our timer. So we're just going to make this black. Just going to say 99. Oh great, the dot's right in the middle. It's really awesome, guys. Do an underscore, I suppose. Maybe we'll do a pair of dots. Oh, it makes... Ah, God. Why did they do that? That's the dot. Whatever. Like... Do that. I'm going to replace this with the child. I change this to 1 for now so that we stop flicking between the two every single time. That didn't work. There we go. The alert, it's actually interesting. It's this color, but then the alert text is wrapped with a border that's full width. It's padded from the top by about 10 units. And it is just a darker version. Oh, whoops. It is a darker version. That was content color. Darker version of this. Did I just do content color again? Yeah. So we'll do that. This is also slightly opaque. And the reason for that we will know more about soon, because we're going to add some animation to this background red to make it look cool. There is some symbol language in here that I do not have. It has like special characters. I don't have that, so I'm just going to wrap this with, I think it's already in a vertical box, so let's just use an image. Just call this image underscore divider 1. We'll make this black, be 2 units tall. And again, we'll pad this. In fact, what we'll do is we'll create image divider underscore 2. Pop this underneath. Set all of these to fill. Center. There we go. We've got something a little bit more interesting. I'm going to set this to auto. These lines are a little bit thicker. Let's go with A, and it also has some padding, so we'll go 50 padding from the left and right. Whoops, that was the wrong thing. 0, 30, 30. So that's cool. I'm okay with that. That's our semi-cool alert state. What we're going to do for the background image is we're going to add some... So we have this brush color here. We're just going to add a material to this. Let's go here. Let's go material M underscore UI underscore. We'll call this. We shall call this scanline. Good enough. Let's go user interface. It can be opaque, that's fine. It's just 1 multiplied by generate bands S bandwidth. In fact, let's just steal all this band stuff from we did a material in episode 8, which will be in our art folder. It will be in here possibly. Yeah, so I'm just going to take these bands because it saves me writing all those variables quickly. There, look, and all of these, they've got a group. that's sorted. So we just multiply that like so, and then in fact what we could do is multiply this by band strength. We'll just say like 0.25, and then what the other thing I want to do is there's some input coordinates here, so you take UVs, we pan them, we'll take time here, we'll do speed, which will just be, I guess, 1, and then we'll append a vector to that to make it a vector xy, plug that in here, plug this into our input coordinates. Apparently it needs something in here, so we'll just go 0. So you see now we've got this. Let's do bandwidth 0.02. We need to just multiply this by a tiling factor. So we'll go band tiling and band speed. Just make sure that these are added to our bands group. Here I'm just going to say like 20. And then 1 is way too fast now. 0.1. 0.2. 0.3. Why does that look so weird? Let's go check out this material. We'll actually do a subtract here. Okay, so back in our radar, we've got this red texture. We're going to apply our bands instance here. You can see we just about have something, and so pull this out of the way. I'm just going to play with the variables quickly. The weird noise. Poof, poof. Now this is moving. It needs to be a little bit faster to give it that sense of like, oh no, you're in trouble. So that's pretty cool. Let's compare. Yeah, we'll just leave that at 0.5. Do you need that band strength? So we'll do that. I'm actually not happy with this font now. I want this to be really thick. I want this to be a really thick digital font. So we'll just go 99.99. So we are on digital right now. Oh, it might take a minute. Might take a minute. Whoa, that's massive. We could do stencil. See if we get a pixel stencil. So I think that'll give us the same kind of vibe. Why is this so? That's like modern Metal Gear. I actually like that font. Section 9. Did I not just download that? I'm downloading it again, just in case I don't have it. It's a nice one. Okay, let's try pixel. Let's just try clock. That is That's that font again, square sans serif. That is very Metal Gear Solid 2, and I'm here for it. This is cool, but it kind of looks more like a G. This is spot on, other than the dot is a circle. If it wasn't for that dot, it would have been fine. Let's I guess I could just overlay a dot, or like a square. Does it have like a thick font? That one, digital. That's the one I've got. It's not actually bold enough. Like it needs to be. But oh, what am I talking about? I can make it bolder. Apologies, just wasted your time. I could just go into font, outline, and just add a 1 pixel outline. Now it's thicker. Awesome. Also, just make the font like 5 units bigger. Sweet. Done. Don't know why it took me a minute to remember that you could just do that. There's always a different way. Okay, so we've got 44 minutes left. We've got a decent number of bits remaining. So we've got our alert state. Let's go take a look at our reference again. So our reference here. We've got the blinking. We'll get to that in a little while. So this 90... I feel like this was never 99 seconds. I feel like it was actually a lot shorter. No, yeah, it's 9 seconds. It's even less than 9 seconds. Play that one more time. Yeah, this little fade here, that's going to be fun to make. We'll do that shortly. 9. Okay. 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Why does it move so differently? That's so weird. It goes down not in a uniform way at all, but that's fine. Let's move on. So we need this to be text block underscore time. Well, it'll be alert time, because there's going to also be a caution time. So that'll be our alert state. We've got this state, that state, alert. Cool. Let's make this border a little bit darker. And then the alert anim. I mean, it's not great. Delete all of that. Set the color here. Oh, you can't have a color anymore? No, you can. Cool. Let's do that. Look at my reference again, which I've lost. It's the whole border, so that's cool. We're not actually animating this text, we're animating the border. So let's grab this color, just stick 3 keyframes in here, loop that, we'll make this slightly less opaque. That did not work. Fine by me. Okay, let's animate this text. So set text. Got a format, which is ss dot milliseconds. So seconds dot milliseconds. So we'll play with that in a minute. message here. I've got to keep up with work at the same time. It's like hard to keep up. Okay, cool. We got this. We need a timer. We should probably manage that directly from. Let's promote this to a variable. Alert state component. Yeah, we probably want to get the time from like a uniform location because it's going to be good. It's going to be better that way. Alert state comp. Alert state. PP alert state. Okay. Current timer. We're just. What would you call this? Just call it timer. Float. It's like number of seconds. In fact, because we're not doing it online, let's just do a timer handle. Set timer event. Custom event. Oh, can't do that in a function, obviously. Let's just do custom event. Reduce alert state. So we can just get this switch. Actually, set alert state. Select. If it's normal, it's just normal. If it's alert, it goes to evasion. If it's evasion, it goes to caution. Simple. But in this case, actually, we're not going to do caution. We can do caution. I feel like caution wasn't necessary the whole time. Actually, let's just get rid of caution. I know it's a thing in one of the games, but we're not doing it. We're just doing alert goes to evasion, evasion goes to normal. And we don't need a causer in here because it won't be relevant. Let's do a create event, reduce alert state, reduce alert state duration. When we set the alert state, if we're alerted here, we'll actually do this alert duration. And we'll do evasion duration. Evasion duration. That'll be alert duration, and we'll do evasion duration. So you'd also manage music here, like you'd have other types of music going on. Evasion duration goes in here. Let's just say it's 10 seconds for that and 10 seconds for that. We have this timer, which we can just hook up like so. What that allows us to do in our radar is we can get the timer, we can get elapsed timer, and we can get duration or get remaining time. And so if you add these together, you get the full time, and then if you divide, well, you get the full time basically. What we could just do is take the remaining time and go from seconds. We actually don't. We're actually not drawing a progress bar. If we were drawing a progress bar, that's how you would do it. Get the time span. We've got the seconds. We're going to go to text with this. We're always going to have 2 integers for this. What I don't understand. Okay. I guess what I can do is we'll do s and then rand s. Or s rand. So s is just this, and then s rand is to text rand integer to 10. This is -1, so it will give us 1 to 9. That's our s rand, because I don't actually know what they were getting at there with their design, but it looks like that's something that they want. Fraction nano, that's not what we want, so we'll break the time span using the other function. Plug this in here, get rid of this. So that's our little text function for our timer. That should just like count down. And then when the state changes, it will update the appearance. Actually, this needs to happen on tick. Event tick. We already have one. We'll convert this to a function. Collapse the function. Update timers. Okay. Which goes here on tick. What we can do is take get alert state. Oh, get state. Get current state. Switch. We'll do this if we're alerted or in evasion, but we're not going to do this function when we are not alerted. So lots of code, not much visuals for the last like hour. That's kind of the way it goes sometimes. Hey Fetch, how you doing? We're doing a bunch of iterations on the alert, sort of homage to Metal Gear. Okay, so that should tick down. Let's actually make our caution, our evasion state as well. The fact that these are so similar, it means you could just parameterize some of this, but they might have different feels eventually, who knows. This will be evasion time. Just get this. Well, plug this in here. Easy. Okay, so that should just be 10 seconds of evasion. One thing that is a problem is we don't need this end alert state. We'll get rid of that. Oh, there should be an error somewhere. Create an event. Set alert state. Find reference. Well, we don't need this function anymore. We've since got rid of this. We do want some of this logic. That was from the last session. We've now, in the last session, I kind of mentioned how I don't really like how I was doing the alert state. If I was to do this with a bit more time, I would actually make a component. That's what we've done today. We've moved it to a component. We now have like an alert state system. On alert state changed. If it is set to alert, we're just going to delay for 1 second. On the update timers, we'll actually ask if this is is this active? Is this timer actually active? And if it is, we'll do this. Otherwise, we're just going to set this to 99.99. Because we know we're not quite there yet. There's a 1 second delay that I'm going to be adding. That happens to allow you to see the cone go red on the enemy that spots you. So there's this little, maybe even 0.5 seconds, and then we're going to change the state to 1, which is our alert state. We'll do our alert anim there. Should actually also in here duplicate this and use so this is border underscore alert title, and then this is border underscore evasion title. Sure, that's fine. Okay, so that plays. If there is no valid causer, then we'll switch here. In fact, what we could do is we could just switch If it's alerted, do this. If it's evasion, do number 2. And if it's normal, just stop the animation and go to 0. And we'll do a sliding, like, funky visual effect there as well. Okay. Let's organize this a little bit more. Normal. Evasion. There's actually quite a bit for alert. I like everything to align downwards. That's always how I do this. Alrighty, so we're cracking on. We are at the point, well, yes, we want to be alerted. In fact, that's just for our particular UI enemy. So that's that guy. Waits 0.5 seconds. Allow to see enemy go red, which can be a camera or an enemy, or it could be whatever. Then set to 1, then do animation. Okay, cool. We're already in alert, so that's fun. Let's go here and let's go 0. That's our default. Okay. So we've got our little enemy cones. Just wait for it to go, like cover us. Right, max internal digits is wrong. So in our update text, we didn't set the max integral. The max integral is 2. And in fact, the minimum for MS is 2. Yeah, cool. And then we've got this like random number as well. So when the alert state goes down, oh no, run away. And you'd have some cool music, right? Go into evasion. One thing that I remember is that it will hit. Actually, 2 things that I recognized. It's so weird. It looks like a 10-second timer, but it's actually like a 5-second timer. And the evasion one looks like a 10-second timer with like the 99 counting down, but it's actually a like 7-second timer or something. And so we could achieve that by setting those timers to that duration and then lerping it in the widget when we draw the timer. We say, hey, you know what, get the min max and just range it up to something else. So the alert duration is actually only going to be 5 seconds. The evasion duration will have like 7. We've got this timer here. One thing that is a little bit important that I'm remembering now as well from the design is when we change state, we want to see that 99 for just a second. Like, we want to see 99 and then it starts to count down. And so in order to do that, we actually don't want to set the timer here. We want to sort of have a delayed function. So custom event, start timer delayed. And then we select the float here based off of the, just do a selector, do alert duration, evasion duration. But we'll wait for 1 second before we actually do that. And then we'll set that up. So that will give us that little bit of time just for the UX for the player to see the event happen. And I think that's why they did it. They did it so that it just feels a little bit better, just reads a little bit better. Delay, start timer delayed, cool. That also happens here. So the state has changed and the UI will change, but the timer will say 99 seconds for us, so it should do. Let's go check it out. It's not going to be, it's not going to say 99 because the timer is different. Oh no, it did. So we need to map that range now. Because now we're going for, it's like 99 by default, and then it goes down to like 6 seconds because that is actually the duration of the timer. What we want to do is in our update timers text, we can get the elapsed timer plus the remaining timer to get the total time, and essentially map the range of remaining time from 0 to the max timer from 0 to 10 seconds. And so we've just remapped whatever the range is, and so that should look and feel a little bit better. You'll notice it actually goes down faster than 10 seconds, but it feels cool. It feels really cool. There's a little bit of flicker in there that you could fix at some point, but yeah, so that's our evasion. That's cool. Okay, so we've got our alert state, our evasion state. We've got this return to normal animation. So right now, we go do that one more time. Just goes down. Then it flicks to our evasion state. Goes back down. And it just like flicks into this view. It's just like, hey, welcome, there's a view. One way that we could play with that. So we're looking right now at the return to normal anim. Let's go to our designer. We've got this radar. Here, scale box radar. We could wrap this with a retainer box and sort of enable and disable the retainer, hopefully. And that'll allow us to sort of draw something across here. Another thing that we could do is we could actually, oh wow, the width. Why is the width controlling the height? Oh, right, because it's scale boxed, yeah. Well, that's not going to work. Can we do this? No. Okay, so 256, cool. Yeah, it needs to be a retainer. Like, that's kind of it at that point. Let's wrap the size box with a retainer. Retainer box, we'll just call it like normal wipe. And what we can do, I believe, possibly add an animation. We'll call it to normal anim. We'll add our retainer box, and ideally we can add the effect material. Oh, that's not the right thing. Retain render. Oh, that's just like cache the render. I think it is going to be retain material. Okay, so we'll do material m_ui retainer underscore normal state. We'll get a UV. We'll break the components. Set this to user interface. It doesn't really need to be translucent. It does have a texture sample. We'll just call this texture. This name here, when you're using a retainer box, it actually comes from the retainer. So here you'll see texture. This is the effect material. Currently nothing is rendered because we've basically turned it off, right? So if we plug this in and we plug the alpha, actually we need this to be translucent probably. We'll plug the alpha in. By default this is sad because it doesn't have a texture, so we'll just say, hey, it's white by default. If we go back to our radar, see it's actually there now, so that's cool. Next we need to add the effect over the top, right? So we're going to multiply our color by, let's just multiply it by this fade for now. So you'll see in our radar it's visible on the right but not visible on the left, so we need to flip that. now it's not visible over here. Actually, it's becoming black over there, which is crap. Which is crap. We don't want that to happen. We don't want it to be black. We want it to be not rendered. So because... Okay, we're not using a material rendered. We're not using a retainer box, which is good for two reasons. Retainer boxes are just bad. They re-render that UI. So we'll replace this with a child. This is already a material. So the second reason it's good is because I forgot that this is already a material. So we just come in here, get this, multiply our final color. What could we do here? We could multiply. Oh, it's gonna be annoying. This lerp. If the alpha is 0, the first input is used. This one. If the alpha is 0, so we multiply this this x by this swipe that we're going to add. You see here it's looking somewhat okay. Look at our radar render. Is it still black? Is it still black? Can't really tell. I suppose maybe we need to multiply everything by this. Let's multiply this by 3. Oh, let's power it, sorry. There we go. Now we've got like an effect that sort of stops. Can I just do a gradient? Diamond gradient, linear gradient. This might be good. Oh, well, it's just giving us what the texture UV coordinates give us, so there was no point doing that. What we can do is add to this UV to shift it along that axis. But I do need. I'm just going to plug this into the final color for now. I'm just going to do opacity 1. That's not coming out with anything, which is not good. That should come out with like a black and white. Oh, I added 1. Yeah. 0.2, 0.3. Okay. We're going to 1 minus this. Okay, we're not going to 1 minus either of them. Cool. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. We want to clamp this. We don't want this to be above 1. So it's hits here. Okay, so minus 1. Minus 0.9. Minus 0.9. Minus 0.5. Minus 0.1. Let's go in the wrong direction. 1. Add 1. It's fully white. It's not good. Just figuring this out. Okay, add 1. No, add minus 1. Okay. Minus 0.5. Add minus 0.1. It is coming onto screen. It's doing it in the wrong direction. I can't make it. I can't do what I want. Okay, what I can do is just do this, but then maybe I can just 1 minus the output. I want to shift it. I want to shift it around. No 1 minuses. Just want to shift it. I just want to shift this to the left, but I want the right hand side to be clamped or wrapped. Not, yeah, clamped. I think it was black since the gradient was only applied to the color and not the opacity. Yeah, I mean, I was making the color black and the opacity was like still there. But because it was in the retainer box, it was never gonna work because the color and opacity has already been set. And then I'm just applying on top of it. So I've gone back to the base like radar material. I'm gonna do it in here. So that will solve that problem basically. It would always have been, you'd always be able to see the line because we can't control what's like other than overriding it entirely, we couldn't control the opacity. So if the radar says the opacity is 0.5 and then I try and just do that in the other material, I don't know the origin color of a pixel that is otherwise already green, and I don't know well, I do know the opacity, but I'd be overriding it. So anyway, we're doing it in here. It should be a lot easier in here. Now I'm just going to try and make a very simple wipe that just goes across the screen. That's all it's got to do. In fact, let's try Blueprint UE and see what's going on there. Blueprint UE.com. Material wipe. Oh, material wipe. Can't type apparently today. Let's try this material function that someone's created. Texture V3. Nope. Wipe direction V3. X. It's missing a function. It's missing a texture, sorry. Okay. I mean, you can take this and then I can break it back out into 3 channels and you can just go in here if you want. Yeah, that's not working. Why would it need the texture? Oh no. The crash is not what we want right now when we're like this close to getting this all done. The depth shading will have to wait for another stream, but the return to normal anim, I would really have liked to get that done. Moving it to the right. Maybe GPT can help me here, and like basically mitigate the amount of time. create UE5 HLSL output single channel white black fade. I want to control a progress variable that moves a white gradient from left to right. The gradient is white at the front, black at the back, and black beyond the front value. I.e., black to white gradient, then solid black after the position of the wipe. See what it does. See what it does. Are we hopeful? Has anyone got strong feelings about this? What are we thinking? Where has my stream stuff gone? Is it still alive? It is still alive. Okay, so it's given me something. Let's find out what it does. So we've got progress. Let's add that. And it's got UVs. Let's add that. So here's my UV. Here's my progress. Wipe. We'll just call it wipe. If I just compile this quickly and then plug that in to the multiply. It does nothing, GPT. It does nothing. Feather. Let's go look at this as a instance. Wait, why is that not? Oh, it wasn't even being used. It does this every time with the redefinitions. It just doesn't understand. But that is cool. That is pretty cool. That's something like what I want. I want to multiply this by our main color, or a white main color. I want to add this. Let's tell GPT. I want to control the distance of the gradient. What else do I want to do? So I can get like this nice long distance. And I also need it black at the end, white, and I'm saying white to black here for the one effect. I also need a second, or a G channel where it's just black on the right and white on the left without gradient, just solid from the position of progress. Okay, we'll see if that gives us what we want, which is it's looking pretty promising. Like that saved me so many minutes that I might actually get this particular effect portion of the stream done in time. So what we can do is we'll break this into two components. This so far should be now a float 2. Redefinition of feather, or no definition of feather. And then we'll do feather here. Okay, cool. So that comes in, and then we'll multiply. So we're adding this, but we're going to multiply. We're not going to multiply this alpha at all. Actually, yes, we are. But we're going to multiply it by the G channel. So now it comes in. There we go. So we have our effect. Sweet. So that's pretty cool. Let's make this even longer. It's pretty cool. Right. So we'll go to 0. In our radar render, we've got everything we want there. Let's go to our widget. Widget underscore radar. We've got this animation, right? We've got this retainer box, which we no longer need. We have this image for our radar. And we can add the image, we can add the brush material, and we can add the wipe variable here. This starts at 0. If we open this up, it starts at 0, and then it comes on screen, right? So we'll just add 1, 2, 3, I guess 3, and then just bring this all the way in. And just play that animation. So play animation. We'll do our to normal anim here. So this is what happens when we go to normal. Actually, sorry, not there. Here. That's cool. Let's keep all this linear. I hate it when my execution chain is oriented differently. Cool. That happens there. We're also going to do this on begin play because it's just going to look. It means that we can just quickly check it. Cool. It might be a little bit fast, so we'll check that in a sec. So that works. That's really cool. We should really turn down the duration of everything there, because it takes ages. The one thing I think is happening I've got to slow down. I've got to slow down the simulation to see what's happening. So we get here, I'm going to go slow-mo 0.1. So when this starts to count, no, there's a little flicker for like an amount of time that I can't tell, but it's really annoying. It's an annoying flicker. Maybe in our update timers, rather than mapping it to 10, we map it to like 9.9, and that maybe gets rid of the flicker. Okay, cool. So got pretty much everything we wanted there. We've got 55 seconds to maybe add a blink to wherever the canvas is. So we've got this canvas panel markers. We'll add a blink in here. Let's add the render opacity. So we'll just grab the blink, flick this in here, and then it's like, it goes off for like a very brief frame, and then it goes back on, and then it sort of waits for a little bit of time. So we just get that blink, play animation. And we set this to start time, play loops 0. We should stick that on our begin play. Yeah. And we also want to put our player into that canvas basically, so that that also blinks. I mean, we don't need to do this. We could have set it up to just animate it. There, you got that nice little blink now. Cool. That was a fun stream. Thanks for tuning in. There's always more that we could do, but we did do the return to normal and the blinking. We didn't get the depth shader in, which is a bit of a shame. And in fact, while I'm sort of doing the debrief here, maybe I'll noodle around and add that. So we've got some content that I have as a backup here. Just going to pop this open. This was in case I came into like real trouble sort of doing this logic. So let's just do it. Let's just do it. We've got one thing left. We may as well, finish strong. I'll pop this in here. I will append a named reroute, which is just depth. So depth. Plug that in here. This is our depth here. We'll add all of this to depth. Let's check those defaults as well. Let's go, 50,000 is good. Offset factor, we'll say 500. Curve, 50. So what this is doing is it's getting the depth. It's taking away a amount of depth from that number, which is the depth, the distance from the camera. Then it's dividing it by the distance to get the percentage from 0 to 1, and then it's curving that to give it a like a ramp. So what we should end up with is a depth over a distance that we get to choose away from the camera, and for how long that distance matters. That is like a nice ramped fade that we can apply to our UI material. Which just for a second, I'm going to need to use this straight up R channel, because now we actually have a G channel. So what we would want to do is do something with that G channel, basically. Let me open up my reference just so that we can have a play. I've got this material. Let's have a look at this. This is something that I built for a PSX game, like a PlayStation era game with a friend. All I'm doing is using that G channel to lerp between a high and low variable. And then, so this background color here, I'm actually going to use this instead. So let's also lerp these alphas by this G channel. And then I'm going to take our variables that we had for background color here and actually just put that into our defaults. So let's just paste it in both here. And then for our high, we'll just go a little bit brighter, and we'll see how that feels. Might just steal the colors that I've got in my other one. Copy. What do we got here? High. Paste. Copy. Low. So I jump into my level now. Slightly different representation. It's not. Some weird artifacts. Okay, so let's go. Got our outline shader here. Got our outline instance here. Go to our level and check out these variables. It should do something at some point. It is not. That was a waste of time. It is doing something on the right hand side here. Maybe it's what's in here? Weird. Yeah. Maybe it's something to do with, because we're doing a 50,000 unit diff basically. I wonder if in our renderer, when we're moving this, we're at 2,000 units. Let's just go to 50,000. Now we have nothing rendering. Go. Where's my game gone? Is it? Okay. Oh, okay. Sure. Interesting, I'm not getting any render. Also losing my mouse when I jump between screens. It's like it can't even see the world because there's no R channel in here either. Strange. There's like literally no R channel in there. Oh, I know what might be the problem. I'm saving this as... Is this my render texture? It is my render texture. There should be... Yeah, this RTF8 RG. Now we're seeing some color change there. Now the only problem left now is that we're not actually seeing the lines anymore. So let's go and check why. Is it to do with this? No. So this alpha should still draw those lines for us. That should never have changed. Interesting. Why have we got no lines? Our channels are right there. What happens if we just draw the R channel as the color? This is the post-process. This is the line thickness right here. Okay. Maybe it's that. Go to our level. You can see this here. That's a lot darker. That's strange. Oh, it's because I'm just drawing the R channel, right? Line thickness. Makes no difference. Outline shader. Just draw the outline. Is something to do with moving it by 2000? Maybe the scene depth here. It's not a good idea. Okay, there we go. That's our R channel. That's good. Let's plug this back in. Now we've got this. There we go. Okay. Back in our material here, we stopped appending the depth, so we'll reappend the depth. There we go. So now we've got something a little bit more interesting. And then we could go like 0.5 on here to make this a little bit cleaner. And so that's looking really neat. We've now got this like depth to our level, which looks really cool. And in fact, if you move, say, this floor out of the way, have like a really low area of the map, it should be represented as well, which it isn't so much. But you can see when you change the layer, it actually changes the render as well. So let's create a little catwalk. Some artifacts going on there. Might need to do something with the normals. Like maybe we should do something with those normals. But you can see how the shading actually changes as you move around, which is neat. And if I drop down here, this is now my base. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. You can play with that a little bit more, but for the normal thing, I do remember in the original shader that I have, there is something to do with normals in there. Yeah, and I don't know what. Guess it's just, maybe if we open this up, we look at that, that's looking pretty bad. We go and open this guy, jump in here. Yeah, it really doesn't like, just like normals. Like basically that diagonal normal there is not happy. What I could do in the outline post-process shader for the depth is I could say multiply this depth here with the world normal world aligned, not no. get the dot product of this to the up vector. I mean, you could use an angle in here as well. Did that do anything? Don't think it did. I guess I could put an if and just say if it's equal to, say, select 0.8, we'll have two variables here, 1 and 0. The dot product is more than or equal or less than. They don't work either. This is my shader, right? Yeah, this is my shader. We're multiplying it by 0 if the normal isn't great. So you can see I've like basically subtracted any of the normals from the top that are like at an angle. Or we could just say like 0.5, for example. But that doesn't actually seem to be applying to the final render. Oh, we're still just getting this like solid. So that could be the thickness variable. Ah, there we go. So a thickness of 0.5 wasn't good. Okay, so we fixed the little slopey thing, which was a bit of a problem for a second there. Not a massive fan of the colors that I've got going. Just darken them down. Yeah, cool. So we got the depth shading in anyway. So that was everything that I wanted to do on the stream. It went a little bit over, but I'm okay with that sometimes. That's our Soliton Radar. It's got some cool alert events that happen through an alert system component that tracks the state that anything can listen to. For example, AI in the future would listen to that state and go into alert or spawn more enemies. We've got our evasion state, which is just a timer until we reach normal. Again, these are just states that could control gameplay. And then we've got this, well, you can't really jump in Metal Gear Solid, so we shouldn't really care too much about this weird effect. But we have this depth shader, which is cool. We've got our outline shader, got our blinking UI. Yeah, generally a pretty cool little project. And so I hope that was cool. Hey, Potato Soup. Welcome to the end of the stream. I'm gonna turn off the checklist because we are done. And save everything and close. Bam. You may now look at these mountains. Okay, you may now look at me and my cat, which is that way. Thanks for joining, everyone. I have been Ren from UX is Fine, doing some more UI, tech art, game design, UX related stuff. Soon I'll be doing the Games Jam. So tomorrow, Friday, 9 AM PST starts a Games Jam for the Kenny Jam. It lasts a few days, and then next week there's the Pirate Software Game Jam, so I'll be jumping into that as well. Hopefully, I need to talk to some people at work to see if that's all good. Also, next week we'll be jumping on stream, possibly with one of the artists at UX is Fine, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, totally rewatch, slow it down, pause it, all that sort of stuff. Leave some comments and some likes on the videos if you're rewatching. Just give us some algo love, some algorithm love. Anyway, that's been the Metal Gear Solid UI. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Cheers.